So hello and welcome to everybody. I'm juggling quite a bit here at the moment, pressing admit to people in the waiting room, doing the introduction, going live, but I think it's all working. So I'm Dawn Campbell. I'm your host for the 12th in the 20-part International Coaching Week online complimentary event. And I'm joined today in the hot seat by Jonathan Reitz. Hello, Jonathan. Good afternoon and welcome.
Oh, hi there. Thank you.
Well, it's not afternoon for you. I think it's morning, isn't it? Over there.
Well, it's just barely afternoon.
Okay, good. We have people from all around the world, very, very interested to hear what you've got to say about artificial intelligence. But before we get into that, let me do a introduction. Now, I was saying to Jonathan before we went live, this is probably the hottest topic going. Artificial intelligence and how it become a coach's best friend. So I want to introduce Jonathan properly, but for the people who are regulars on my masterclasses, I'm not terribly fond of regurgitating the biog. And although Jonathan has an illustrious biography, I'll just pull out a few things. I'd rather share with you some of the personal highlights that I've learned about him. So Jonathan has or is a director for training. He's a master coach. He's co-founder of the Team Coaching Global Alliance and is a world-class speaker. He's also an author of a book that sounds really interesting, Coaching Hacks. We all like hacks. Simple strategies to make every conversation more effective. And we all want more of those, don't we? So on to something that's a little bit more unique and personal that perhaps is not so widely known. Jonathan lives in Cleveland and he's the son of a physicist. So his dad helped develop the glass that's in our car headlights, and it's still the technology that's used today. As you can imagine, he was a great role model for Jonathan and taught him about problem solving as a key discipline. Now, like many of us, Jonathan has done a lot of things before he became a professional coach. He was a professional golfer. Wow. A stand-up comedian. Thought terrifies me. A radio host and a television news anchor. And as you'd expect, every one of those jobs has informed his coaching journey, such as golfing taught him how to perform under pressure. And comedy taught him or opened his eyes to how to deliver the right timing to release the tension in conversations. And his stint in radio helped him to communicate in the fewest possible words. That's a skill in itself. And while television showed him the beauty and power of storytelling, every one of these skills shows up in his coaching today. So without further ado, over to you, please, Jonathan, because I know you want to dive in. You've got lots to share. And as I say, it's the hottest topic in town. So over to you, my friend.
All right. Thank you, Dawn. Appreciate it very much. I make no promises about communicating effectively in the fewest possible words during this particular session. So just as a heads up, we're gonna have us a conversation this afternoon about artificial intelligence and what this ends up looking like in the wider coaching world. In fact, we're even going to go into a specific live example of how we might use artificial intelligence in improving your coaching skills. We're gonna dive into a couple of specifics. So definitely appreciate the opportunity to be here. I won't dive into any of the other items about all of the coaching and training and all of that background, other than to say, for the last 2 years, I've been engaged in a conversation with ICF leaders, with EMCC leaders about exactly what this artificial intelligence opportunity is for us coaches. There's a tremendous amount of information out there. Some of it is accurate. A large proportion of it is, it's coming from somewhere, but I don't know exactly where. So I want to try to untangle the jumble that is artificial intelligence a little bit over the course of this next 45 minutes or so. And we will take as many questions as we have time for at the end of the session. So here's where we're going to go in today's conversation. We're going to look at the impact of the launch of these artificial intelligence tools on the coaching profession. I don't think it's what a lot of people think it is. And I'm going to be intentionally provocative on that particular topic. Yeah, Jerry, you're laughing because that doesn't that sounds very much in character for me, doesn't it? Intentionally provocative.
Of course, yes, love it.
I appreciate that. Now, that being said, I do think there's some ways that you can leverage AI right now. We're going to look at that, and we're going to go right up to the cutting edge, to the bleeding edge. And maybe we'll find something that you can use to really make a difference in your coaching conversations moving forward. So with that in mind, let's get at it. It's been fascinating to talk to coaches about artificial intelligence, about technology in general, artificial intelligence in particular, to hear some of the refrains that come up on a consistent and regular basis. And in preparation for this conversation today, a couple of weeks ago, I threw out on LinkedIn and in the ACC, PCC, and MCC's Journeys Facebook group. Hey, coaches, when I say artificial intelligence to you, what comes to mind? And it was fascinating. It was really fascinating to see the big three themes that came up in both places, because they were the same. And there were dozens, in one case, hundreds of coaches that said these three things. There really were only three answers to that question. Here's the first one. That computer can't do what I can do. All right. Good comment. That's probably true, especially if we're talking about getting things down off high shelves or things like that. You're right. The software, the computer can't do what I can do. Second thing I heard really consistently, both groups, no AI can hold space. And most of the comments about holding space ended with, like I can. All right. Again, also true. And then the third theme that I heard loud and clear, once again, in both groups, I threw it out in a general LinkedIn post. If you find me on LinkedIn, you'll see that post. It's back, I don't know, two and a half weeks ago. And then in the Facebook group, the third one was, I'm not worried about AI. It's going to be a long time before software, before AI, before technology can do what I can do. Okay, interesting. Now, just by in the chat area, I want you to be honest. I'm going to look you in the eye in the camera here. I want you to be honest. I want you to shoot me straight. How many of you, when you saw the topic of artificial intelligence and coaching, how many of you had one of those three reactions right off the top of your head? The first thing that popped in your head, just a yes or a no in the chat area. I would love to see that from you. All right. A lot of yeses, and the rest of you are lying. That's okay. Good. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Generally speaking, I'm going to just shoot you straight. Generally speaking, I think all of those answers are perfectly appropriate. They're grounded in the right stuff. They're emphasizing the things that make coaches unique. And it's a totally appropriate response for the most part. But what if we maybe need to change our perspective on this? What if the perspective about AI and technology is more about what does it do for the client experience in comparison to, can the AI do what I can do? I think that completely changes the conversation. because I have talked to lots, dozens, maybe 100 coaching clients over the last year that have said, you know what? I worked with an AI coaching tool for a little while and I had a great experience. That should catch our attention. We need to pay attention to that. If that's the reality, that clients are having a meaningful, an even remotely positive experience with this technology, that changes our focus. It's no longer about, can the technology do what we do? It's, how can I ensure that clients choose me over that coach that's on my phone? That's a very different conversation for us as coaches, as people who are serious about this profession, as people who are committed to the development of the people around us. All right, game on. Game on. So let's push into that a little bit. Now, starting first and foremost, can AI deliver meaningful outcomes for clients? Folks, I'm here to tell you the answer is yes, no question. There is no doubt that AI can deliver meaningful outcomes. In fact, Dr. Nikki Terblanche from Stellenbosch University in South Africa has completed a study that has been replicated specifically around goal attainment coaching, where an AI coaching tool matched or outperformed human coach performance. So now the question becomes for us, what are we going to do that raises the likelihood that clients are going to opt to work with a human coach? By the way, here's the graph of the results. Over an 8-month period. Now, notice the control group here, control 1 and control 2. These folks just did journaling, did self-reflection, worked on an action plan by themselves. The solid dark lines here, the big black lines, the highest performing line, that was the human coach. And if you'll notice, it consistently had an advantage, not a giant advantage. Whoops. Sorry, my slides are misbehaving. Not a giant advantage, but an advantage nonetheless, human coach to AI coach, until we got to the 7-8 month mark. So consistency produced results that matched and then eventually outperformed human coaching. But the gap isn't nearly as big as any of us, I think, would have guessed if we sat down and looked at it. So this study was published a little less than a year ago, and it has been replicated in a couple of different situations. And believe you me, app developers are paying attention. The technological world is paying attention to what might be possible with the technology and what might be possible for clients in terms of their talent development, in terms of their vision development, and in terms of their goal attainment. So what does that mean for you and me? That means you and I have an opportunity to explore the possibilities. And I'm just going to throw out to you that one of the challenges, I'm going to put 3 challenges out in front of you in the course of this conversation. Here's the first one. I want you to go check out one or more of these particular tools. Shameless plugs here. These are all top-notch, high-quality tools. I don't work with any of them. I'm not compensated by any of them. I have used all of them. I've tried them all. But I want to invite you to try one of these or something similar. First of all, Rocky.ai. Rocky.ai is a growth mindset coach chat app that you can get on your phone. It's fun. It's really fun. You'll like it. Evoach, that's a tool that you might use to build custom support for your coaching. It's designed to deliver some content and to stay in contact with your clients in between sessions. Helping People Change is an app based on the coaching work of Richard Boyatzis, Ellen Van Osten, and Melvin Smith. It's a little bit different text-based chat app that you might want to dive into. Or maybe the most interesting one of all, this is Coach Amy. Notice how Amy is spelled. AIMY from Coach Hub. Coach Amy is a deep fake. Well, I shouldn't call it deep fake because that's not really, it's obviously not real. They say, you know, this is an AI coach, but she's a human being that looks like that. Well, an image of a human being. You see how tricky this whole thing is? The image of a human being that talks back and forth with you and has a voice, has facial expressions. If you Google Coach Amy from, you know, put that text in right there, like on the screen. If you put that into Google, Amy comes up and you can sign up for a coaching session with her that actually is pretty good. It's surprisingly developed, and they are putting more and more time and energy into making that in-person, that real life, that simulated coaching experience delivered by AI into more and more and more of a real experience that I'm just going to challenge you to think about, to try out, to look at, and just see, hey, these are the new players in our industry. These are the new folks that clients who are looking for coaches are going to be considering. Here's the bad news. This is the bad news. Most of these, if there's a charge at all, are $10 a month. $10 a month to work with Coach Amy, you know, considerably more than that to work with me. That may be the business challenge that a lot of us are dealing with in the not too distant future. Because I'll tell you what, this technology is only going to get better, and we're going to have to deal with that as an industry. So with all of this in mind, let me throw out to you that our opportunity here is to change our attitudes about AI, because it is absolutely going to impact our business models. But let's just stipulate that. Can we all agree on that? Hey, it's going to happen. None of us want it to. Let's just be honest with it. Can we all just be straight with each other here for a second? None of us want this to change our business models. But the reality is it's going to. There's going to be an impact. So here's the second invitation. I want to challenge, invite, nudge you to think about how you can use AI to actually enhance your practice. So it's not a competitive, it's not an either or, it's a both and. That's the attitude change I want to invite us all into in this conversation. A both and. How do we get the benefits of AI and offer the benefits of highly skilled, highly trained, highly experienced human coaches like all of us are, and like our clients have benefited from for many, many years. So how can we make the most of this particular opportunity? I think it starts with understanding what's really going on with AI. And I'm going to take you to school here for a second, if that's all right, because the artificial intelligence is a blanket term. There's a number of different types of artificial intelligence. And I do think there are some things to be aware of, but there's a lot more that we can leverage to benefit our clients. So let's push into that a little bit over the next few minutes. So first of all, the first type is artificial narrow intelligence. So this is AI that's designed to complete a very specific action. It doesn't independently learn. In fact, we might separate these 7 types of AI into 2 particular groups. There's the narrow AI that does not independently learn, and then there's the broader generative AI that uses a process called deep learning to teach itself. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard about like the game simulators, computer game simulators. Chess is one of the famous ones. The ancient Chinese game called Go. In fact, look up a documentary sometime called Alpha Go, which is about a machine learning, deep learning simulation of the game Go, where in a matter of weeks it became an unbeatable opponent for human players because of the speed of deep learning, of machine learning. So AI with machine learning, AI without machine learning. First category is narrow artificial intelligence, which doesn't learn by itself. It's things like natural language processing. So when you use Otter.ai and it transcribes your coaching sessions into text, or any of those tools that you had to use when you got your credential, that's a artificial narrow intelligence tool. Image recognition, facial recognition. When you hold your phone up to your face and it unlocks because it sees you in the camera, that's an artificial natural intelligence. Self-driving cars, believe it or not, is artificial narrow intelligence. Or everybody's favorite, Siri. Hey, Siri. Usually when I say that, my phone speaks to me. But Siri is artificial narrow intelligence. Not a whole lot of capabilities, but you know what? It's gathering a bunch of information. It's gathering data about you. That's the key thing, is artificial narrow intelligence is designed to do one task at a time. That's not what we're dealing with some of those coaching tools. Those are artificial general intelligence, which does a whole bunch of things, and it's designed to learn, think, perform at similar levels to humans. Things like ChatGPT, which we're going to look at here in just a moment. That's an artificial general intelligence designed to do basically what a human being does. In theory, and remember I said that, in theory, it does those things as well as human beings do. All right, so far so good. This is ChatGPT. Image generators. Have you gone to Stable Diffusion or one of those image generator places? It's fun to generate AI inspired art. It's really fun. I don't know how useful it is yet, because I don't think those AI generated images actually look like other things, but it's definitely improving. And that's the second level. Third level, artificial superintelligence. This is the AI that is able to surpass the knowledge and the capabilities of human beings. This is, if you remember the Will Smith movie about what was it called? I think Will Smith was in it. It was called I, Robot, the Isaac Asimov novel that came out a few years ago. This is what we're talking about here, is artificial superintelligence, or Ex Machina was another movie that was out a few years ago that talked about supercomputers taking over the world, artificial intelligence taking over the world. That's because this artificial superintelligence is designed to surpass the capabilities of humans. All right, folks, I'm going to look you in the eye again here. It doesn't exist yet. There is no such thing as artificial superintelligence today. There is a giant divide in the technical world about whether or not it will ever exist. But it does not exist today. So human capability still has a dramatically higher ceiling than computer capability, than machine capability. All right, good. Now, fourth area, reactive machines. These are things that adapt what they're doing based on what's going on in real time. You know, a chess simulator that knows what they're going to play. Like the chess simulator that comes with your Mac. If you've bought a Mac in the last 20 years, there's always a chess game on it. Well, that's a reactive machine, because it will change what it does based on what you do. They're interactive. Most chatbots are reactive machines with a little bit of artificial general intelligence thrown in. Okay. All right. Next one, limited memory. This is the next level up. Store knowledge, learn and train for future tasks. This is what the vast majority of apps that are out there right now that are called that call themselves artificial intelligence. This is what the vast majority of them are. Is that, yes, they're doing some deep learning, they're training, they're changing. Depending on the amount of input they get, they might learn very, very quickly. These kinds of things are critical and important. And then but this is the current level of technology. This is about as far as we can go right now. We human beings can go right now, not just we coaches, we human beings. And then finally, these last two don't exist yet. Theory of mind. This is AI that can sense and respond to human emotions. They can also perform the same kind of tasks as limited memory machines. You know, your smart thermostat in your house, should you have one, your Ring doorbell, those have limited memory AI in them. The day is going to come when those are going to be able to sense that you are in a down mood and raise the temperature in your house because you are in a down or depressed mood. Which is, there's research that says that can be a helpful thing to do when your mood is low. So that is probably coming, but it's some years away, likely. And that's as specific as I'm willing to be on that, is some years away, because some years away might mean 3 weeks. And it might mean 20 years, because the target is moving. Now, the final one is self-aware AI that can recognize each other's emotions, has a sense of has a sense of themselves as an entity, has a personality, has human level intelligence. It's the final stage of AI. There's this giant raging discussion in the technology world is, you know, maybe someday self-aware technology will exist. I think it will. In fact, I think it will in our lifetime. But I'm not a scientist. I'm an executive coach. I'm the son of a physicist. That's as close as I get to the to all of this. I don't really know what I'm talking about when it comes to self-aware AI timelines. But that being said, that's the level. Now, with all of this in mind, you can see that with all these various types of artificial intelligence, and there's probably 4 or 5 more that I didn't think were interesting enough to include, you can see why this is a challenging topic for us as coaches to deal with. So the first thing here's the second challenge I want to put out in front of you, is when you start hearing about an AI tool, I want you to remember these 7 categories. And I want you to challenge yourself to figure out this AI-based tool, where does it fit? Like Coach Amy from a couple of screens ago, where does that fit? It's a limited memory application. Because allegedly she's going to do some learning from the various coaching sessions that she has, and she's going to transfer that opportunity a little bit differently. But quite honestly, how quickly is she going to be able to learn and adapt and to change the conversation? I don't know. I don't know. She's designed to do one specific thing and do it pretty well. You know, when you start thinking about Siri is, and now Siri on my phone is speaking to me. Siri is just a very specific tool to help you knock out some things as you move forward. So just remember this entire range of tools is a pretty powerful set of opportunities. And if we're really intentional about it, we can dive into what the tool brings and use it to enhance our practice. So that's the follow-up question that I have for you based on, hey, where does whatever tool I might run into fit in the, the range of artificial intelligence? Is how can we include some of the benefits of each of those types of AI in our practice? I'm going to suggest it breaks down pretty powerfully into 3 specific areas. First of all, there is AI for my development as a coach. I'm going to show you some opportunities there. There is AI that we can use for contracting or admin. We'll talk about that here in a moment as well. And then last, and in my opinion, and this is Jonathan's opinion, which is, well, you got what you came for. You got what you paid for in this session. Jonathan's opinion, it's not worth a whole lot, but I do want to challenge you to think about this, that in my opinion, AI with clients is the least powerful strategy that we have at the moment for interacting with technology. So let's spend a couple of minutes on, we're going to spend about 5 minutes on each of these 3 areas, and then we'll wrap up with some Q&A at the end of the conversation. So first of all, how can AI make me a better coach? Well, you know what? You can use ChatGPT. You might summarize the session or parts of it. You might get better questions or better summaries as a part of what you're doing. You might explore your language choices. You want to do that? You want to try it right now? Let's try it right now in the course of this conversation. So I'm going to open up my ChatGPT account, and I have a session that I got transcribed that I'm going to throw out into, you're seeing my blank screen now, right? And I'm going to move there's my ChatGPT account. And I'm going to drag the transcript of a session. This is a coaching session I did, I don't know, a while ago. Back about a year ago that I had easily available. And I'm going to grab like the first 10 minutes of the transcript. Copy and paste. I just hit Control C. And now I'm going to go into ChatGPT, and I'm going to say, summarize the following. Here, I should make this a little smaller, maybe it'd be easier to see. Summarize the following text. Let's see what it does. Okay, just pasted it into the chat area. Here we go. It's all loaded in there. Oh, it's done. All right, so we'll scroll down to the bottom. And here's a summary. Jonathan Reitz is having a coaching conversation with Paige. Yeah, Paige is my client's name. That's right. Paige is a mother of 2 and has started a side venture in property management, but has faced several setbacks. Yeah, this is a pretty good summary of what happened in this session, because in this conversation, Paige was trying to decide if she wanted to continue, if she wanted to take a property that she and her husband had bought and open it up as an Airbnb. They live in Waco, Texas, right by where, and this probably won't mean anything to you, but they are Chip and Joanna Gaines' neighbors. Paige and her husband are. And she was trying to wrestle through what was going on. And here's my summary. Paige is a mother of 2 and has started a side venture. During the conversation, Paige expresses her confusion about her motivations and her sense of self, which is that's a great insight for what happened here. Jonathan Reitz helped Paige explore her motivations. Well, that's what we do, right? And shares she enjoys the process of remodeling. Okay, so yeah, that's a pretty good summary of what happened in the session. So be honest with me here. Who's unnerved by seeing how well that summary worked? A little bit, yeah, a little bit. Appreciate that. Yeah. It could be very powerful to use. Now, if this Amanda, hocus pocus. Well, yeah. There's something to be said for that. You know, there's technology behind it. We're gonna get into some of the key questions to ask about that in just a moment. Now, I'm going to suggest a better use than summarizing your entire session is summarizing using it to specifically dive into some specific opportunities. Now, I saved out some questions from this session that I'm going to put into the chat area next. In fact, here, why don't I go to a new chat and say, give me 5 different versions of this question. Let's see what it says. So the question I put in is, what was fun about the remodel and what really gave you joy? Let's see what it says. Took all of that long to do it. What aspects of the remodel brought you the most enjoyment and fun? That doesn't really sound like something I would talk about. Like that doesn't really sound like how I would talk. Can you share some of the things that made the remodel an enjoyable and joyful experience for you? Now, how many of you are fresh out of your coach training and went, oh, closed-ended question? ChatGPT doesn't know that. Doesn't separate that way. What ways were most exciting and pleasurable parts of the remodel? What were the most exciting and pleasurable parts of the remodel for you? Yeah, I might say that. All right. In what ways did the remodel bring you a sense of fun and joy? Yeah, not bad. Okay, good. Good. Should we do one more? All right, let's do one more. All right, I got a different question here. Give me five different versions. You do have to spell things like correctly, like versions in your prompts in ChatGPT, or else it goes kind of sideways. So the question I put in was, so where else do you have in your life that vision idea to work to make it come to life? See, this is a terrible question. This is one of those questions that looks terrible in transcription, but actually made sense in the conversation. You know how that goes. You think you're being all eloquent and thoughtful and thought-provoking, and then you see it in the transcript and you're like, what? So let's see what ChatGPT does with this one. All right. So yeah, it took it 3 seconds to clean up my nonsense. Although a lot of closed-ended questions. In what other aspects of your life have you employed your vision and ideas to make something a reality? That's pretty good. It's pretty good. So let's copy those. I haven't tried this one. I don't know how this is going to go. So shorten these questions, but keep their meaning. I don't know if this will work. We'll see what happens. All right. So if you want to work on word economy, you can do that. You can do that with something like this. Give me a short version of that particular topic. So that's something that might be on the table for you if you're thinking about using a tool like ChatGPT, an artificial intelligence tool like ChatGPT, to sharpen your coaching skills. And just quite honestly, I'm not even very good at it. There are places that are using a large language model, an LLM. That's what ChatGPT is. It's what's called a large language model that are getting really incredible tools or insight about your word choices, your communication, and some of those other opportunities. So it's something to consider as you think about what you might do next. All right, let's go one other one and then we'll sprint to the finish. I personally love a tool called Ovida. Now, full disclosure, I am an advisor to Ovida. They don't pay me, but I have a working relationship with them. It's an AI enhanced platform that identifies things like key moments. There's a couple of people on here that have used Ovita. They have an excellent data policy, and it identifies trends in your coaching over time. Things like this. You'd conduct a coaching session on Ovita, and it tells you over time how much you're talking, how much your client's talking. They're discovering a direct connection between how much the coach talks, how much the client talks, and how positively the client evaluates the session. And I'm going to tell you something, folks, it's way less than we think it is. Coaches' contributions are way smaller than what we tend to think they are. Even those of us that think 80-20 is a good target, it's less than that. Dun, dun, dun. Question rate is how many questions per hour. The most effective sessions, the most effective coaching sessions, this is from Ovita. How many questions in an hour would you guess that the most effective sessions ask? Amy Kulishek, you're not allowed to say it because you know the answer to this. Eric Ludwig says, hello, Eric Ludwig. 3 to 5 questions. All right. It's actually higher than that. It's actually higher than that. It's between 20 and 24. So Eric Ludwig, well done, sir. Move to the head of the class. Yeah, between 20 and 24. The feedback from participants saying, hey, that session really was mind-bending. Average between 20 and 24 sessions. As you can see, these are my metrics. As you can see, I'm most comfortable in about the 40 question per hour range. So I've got a growth opportunity there. I got down to 25 or 26. Eventually over time, but I'm most comfortable in the 40 plus range. Open question ratio, interruption rate. You can get this over a period of time, or from Ovita, you can also get it for each individual session. It's a pretty amazing collection of data. You also get what they call key moments, comments and key moments, that where the AI, I almost called it the IA. I almost went dyslexic on you. The IA, I see now I did. The AI will collect moments where there seems to be some kind of something clicks for the client or for the coach. Light bulb goes on, things move forward in a specific and meaningful way. And it begins to, something, there's an opportunity between coach and client to push this forward. To me, this insight, if this insight is even pretty good, a big challenge for practicing coaches is pretty soon we're going to be competing against coaches that were trained using this kind of toolkit. And if it's even remotely accurate, they're going to get really good really quick, which means we're going to have to level our game up as well. So these are some ways that AI can help us become better coaches. Now, how can AI help me with clients? With this should say with admin, with operations. This is a typo on this particular screen. This should say, how can it help me with admin and operation? And I would say contracting. You can take your, in fact, I just did this last night. I debated demonstrating this to you as well. I have a contract template for a coaching engagement. And I said, I went into ChatGPT and I said, customize this contract for this client. And I gave him the name and the contact information and for this coaching purpose. And it did it. Then I copied and pasted it into a Word document. It was done. Now, the downside of that, and you do have to be aware of this with ChatGPT, is you got to have permission to, anything that you put in there becomes a part of the machine learning that the tool is doing. So it's not necessarily 100% private ever again. So that's something you will have to wrestle with. But if you decide you want to use that for contracting or for blog posts or things like that, it's a great tool. I would evaluate this not in terms of quality of work, but rather pace of work. Because what it does for you in this particular area is save you time. It's not going to level your game up. It's not going to be better than what you do. It's going to be good and it's going to be done quick, but it's not going to level you up. Whereas I think using some of the tools as a self-reflection partner, as an opportunity to reflect on what you're doing in coaching, I actually do think that could make you better. Using it for admin is not going to make your admin game better. It's going to make your admin game faster. And finally, how can AI interact with clients? Well, I would challenge you to look at what Rocky AI does. Rocky.ai does. Notice these bullets. Deliver your personalized coaching program with AI. You can set up Rocky.ai to contact. Whoops, sorry. I saw somebody about to take the picture there and I bumped the button too quickly. You'd think it's the first time I'd ever used PowerPoint. It's not, by the way, but you'd think it was. If you go to Rocky.ai, this is a great way to stay in contact with your clients in between sessions and to invite them to reflect on their action plans or on what you discovered in the coaching conversation. And you might get some analytics that will help you detect areas improve. We didn't even get into predictive analytics and all of that in today. That's a whole nother conversation for another day. That's next year's International Coaching Week. I think we'll have to talk about that. You know, all this to say that a tool like Rocky, Evoach does this as well. EVOACH does it as well. Tools like this really can set you up to deliver a unique and customized experience for your clients. All right, now bottom line on all of this is, should we be worried about AI coaches doing what we can do and dive into some of the replacement opportunities, AIs and humans? Nah, they're not going to replace us. Not yet. The day may come, but it ain't today. Let's say it like that. A much better attitude toward all of this is to think about how can these tools help us enhance what we do so that our clients not only have the incredible benefit of working with us directly, but they also get the benefit of working with a particular client. I'm sorry, a particular toolkit that reinforces the experience. I personally will say to you, I think it's worth investing in the learning curve to include these kinds of tools in the process. I definitely think it's worth taking summaries, taking snippets of your transcripts, putting it into ChatGPT and seeing how other language structures come to life. I definitely think that's valuable. I would challenge you to do that. That's a great way to work on your word economy. I think a tool like Rocky or Evoach or some of those other things, or Ovida, it will make you better. Rocky or Evoach might be a great way to enhance what you do with your coaching clients. But make sure you're doing it the right way. And there's two things I want to leave you with for ethical compliance, which is, first of all, and I realize I'm a couple minutes over, separate when AI interacts with your clients and when you use it for developing your own skills. These are two different approaches. And I would urge you to pick one, work on that first, and when you feel confident in that first one, add the other. Now, that being said, this is my last point. Make sure you're clear on what happens with the data. When you put something into the system, like Ovida has a great data policy. It says very clearly what happens to the data, who sees it, who doesn't. Short answer is no one, unless you give them permission. ChatGPT is a little bit less clear. Evoach and Rocky have very clear data. That's the first thing I look at, is what happens to the data. Who gets access to it? And then secondly, make sure your client knows there's an AI involved. When I use Rocky with, I have used Rocky with the occasional client. I don't have it. I don't present it as if it's me. It's Rocky, my chatbot assistant. I don't use it with everybody, but I have used it. And then have the AI show its work when possible. What you don't want is a black box in all of this. All right, who's exhausted? We covered a lot of ground, and I only went 5 minutes over.
You did very well, Jonathan, on what is, as I said to you, the hottest topic in town. So questions. Colette has just asked, if nothing is 100% private with regard to privacy, would the coach have to get the client's permission? I think you kind of just answered that in the very last point. Yes, make the client aware. How does this impact on data protection? I guess that's policies that are going to have to be updated as well.
Here's two things I would throw out to you. Is I would put a line in your contracts. Like, for example, I record every session I have. I have for many years. I have 10 plus years of, well, that's actually not true anymore, thanks to GDPR. I have 2 years of history. And the occasional recording that I've gone back to clients and said, hey, can I keep longer than the 2 years of my stated policy? I say, look, I keep this long. The other thing I do is I share everything I record, I give to the client. I give a copy to the client. I share everything that way. And that is in the contract. And if they don't agree, truthfully, if they don't agree to it, I don't take them on. I've gotten to the point where if they won't let me record the session for my own development, I'm MCC. I have an MP application into the EMCC. I don't know that there are any other credentials I'm going to pursue. I don't know that I'll be submitting recordings to the governing body again. But this is my life's work, is coaching. And I want to, by the time I quit, I want to be as good as I possibly could be. And that involves consistent, regular reviews of recordings. So I ask my clients to partner with me on that. Hey, you're going to get a better experience with this if I can review the sessions. This is I will commit to you that no one will see it. No one will hear it, except with the possible exception of my supervisor and a peer group of coaches that I work with. But that privacy component is in my agreement. When I started using Ovita and Rocky, and I use Evoach a little bit in some situations, I added that to the coaching agreement that, hey, these platforms, the contract, the paperwork, these platforms will have access to some of your data. You will have to accept the cookies. You'll have to accept the terms of use on the platform when you sign up for it, because that's a part of the deal. And truthfully, if they don't want that, I'm okay with that. That's fine. That's how it goes. Now, to Eric Mashikot, views about AI in the supervision field. I think that's a growing edge. Ovita is used in a tremendous number of supervision contexts. And the thing that I think is interesting about Ovita is there are things that appeal to human supervisors. There are things that the AI identifies. They're not always the same. And it's a very different processing conversation when something is identified by both the machine and by the human. It's a very different processing conversation than when one is identified by one as opposed to and not identified by the other, because there's that can be very, very interesting. So I think it's a growing edge, and in the right circumstance, I think it could be potentially very helpful. In the wrong circumstances, I think it will just make a challenging developmental opportunity impossible. That's a pretty delicate way of saying that, I think. So hopefully that helps.
Amanda's put a nice reassuring comment in, and I think this is interesting because I know Amanda, so I'm sure she won't mind me saying this. She's very woo-woo. She's very into the crystals, and I've taken a course, and you know, she's done a masterclass for us before, so we're friends. I think I can get away with that. And interestingly, she said a couple of weeks ago, you know, she was fairly scared of AI and didn't know much about it, like a lot of us. And then last week, a friend did a little demo, and I'm sure, knowing her, she probably dowsed with her crystal on it. Actually slept on it. She's got her crystal there permanently, and slept on it, and felt a little bit better, but was obviously quite apprehensive. But now she feels that she can work with it. So thank you to you, Jonathan, for a great talk, very helpful. And her crystal confirms that this is the way forward, I think.
I definitely appreciate that. You know, there's two things I would throw out to you for coaching. The question is not, can it do what we do? And I'm going to repeat that because it can't today. The question is, what unique solution might we be able to deliver to our clients that includes AI? Because there might be a way to help our clients get to even better outcomes by partnering. Then the second thing is, I think this is a fair statement based on the last. Well, when did Facebook and social media really kick in? 2006, 2007, something like that. Since all of that happened, I think we can assume that technology is going to ask for access to more of our data than we realize. And this is especially true in AI. So double down on making sure you know what's going to happen to the data, because that's make sure it's using the data for purposes that you are comfortable with. Let's put it that way. Like, for example, I don't care if my phone tracks where my location at all times, because I don't go anywhere I shouldn't go. You know, truthfully, I don't go anywhere fun anymore because I'm not as young as I used to be. So all that to say that as long as you're comfortable with where the data is going, it's a great opportunity to use this as a tool to maybe there's a way this technology can help us raise the overall bar on the profession as a whole. And I don't know, I would be excited about that, wouldn't you? Oh, that's probably a pretty good word on which to end here, Dawn.
Yes, yeah. So as we always do, we are going to have 60 seconds CPD, so quiet time. What did you get out of investing in yourself in this? What did I say? It was the 12th session of the 20 masterclasses. What are you going to do differently as a result of the time that you've spent with Jonathan today? So 60 seconds starting now, using your CPD logs or the chat box if you want to share. Okay. So lots of great comments. I'll share the chat box with you, Jonathan, by
Thank
email afterwards. People have really enjoyed this, and it's such a big subject. I'm sure we are going to have you back to reassure us on many levels about how we can use this going into it in a deeper level. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Incredibly useful session. Loved it. Fantastic. So informative. Big thank you. Thank you so much. Very practical. Yeah, loads and loads of great things. So that's the end of day 3, everybody. How time flies when you're having fun. So remember, as I keep saying, take action on your CPD notes, because by the end of the week, after listening to 20 experts on a whole range of subjects, your brain is just going to be buzzing. And you're not going to remember all those gems that you wanted to put into action. And I always think it's better, to give yourself 10-minute reflection time after every masterclass to say, this is what I'm going to do. And this is what I got out of it. This is what I'm going to action. So let me just share with you before we wrap up what we have in lined up for you tomorrow. So we have our very own head of CPD, Lisa McMurtry, who's going to be talking about the energy needed to create our dream businesses. And she is followed by the US most sought after creativity coach, as I like to call him, Mr. Popular, Eric Maisel. He's a very regular speaker with us. And he'll be sharing not 1, but 50 ways creativity coaches can serve. And in the afternoon, we have Wanda Allen, who's going to share successful sales strategies. And at the end of the day, we'll be joined by the holistic coach and founder of Soul Academy, Anne-Marie Myers-Clapp, who obviously is going to be talking to us about how to coach with soul. So thank you, everybody, for all your comments, your participation, the investment in yourself, and the energy you've brought to the session. And most of all, thank you to the lovely Jerry Udelson for introducing us to Jonathan, because without her, we wouldn't have known about the good work and information that you were able to share. So last but not least, thank you, Jonathan. Thank you for your generosity to all our speakers for sharing their knowledge and expertise so that we can all be the best coaches that we can be. So we said at the beginning, didn't we, Jonathan, we're all a force for good. And so that's what this whole event is about. So I will leave you in the States to enjoy your afternoons. And for those of you in Europe, have a lovely evening. And the rest of the world, wherever you are, stay safe. And we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow for more of the same. Thank you very much.